Okay, so welcome back to part 2 of the $500,000 in 57-day case study. So if you haven't watched part 1, you want to make sure you go back and watch that, okay? Because in part 1, I did go over a lot of content to do with how to set up your tracking properly and how to track for success. So you know your numbers and focus on the key metrics that's really going to determine how your campaigns are going to perform. And part 2 is all going to be about testing, okay? But if you haven't watched part 1, you need to make sure you do that before you actually watch part 2, or else a lot of this stuff won't make sense. But testing has been the lifeblood of my business, okay? And I want you guys to understand that this might be the most valuable video I've actually ever created, and it's all about testing, which is the thing that a lot of people have the hardest time with, but it's going to be the thing that can determine how quickly you can turn a negative campaign into a very, very profitable, lucrative one. Okay, testing. Okay, so again, stay tuned for this video. This video will be in depth. I'll be going through a lot of stuff and a lot of content that usually I don't give away for free. But this content I literally will be giving away for you guys to just be able to take away and literally start applying it immediately. So make sure you take a lot of notes, and without further ado, let's get straight into the content. So I want you guys to understand this, is that you literally might launch the exact same funnel as your competitors, but they might be profitable while you lose money. And this is probably happening with a lot of you guys, where you might swipe a funnel that might be doing very, very well for other people, or you might swipe a funnel from a super affiliate and they're running this funnel for weeks, for months on end, but then you try and run the exact same funnel and for some reason you're losing money whilst you know that somebody else is making money. Or let's say, for example, if you're in the e-commerce space, you might actually swipe a specific product from somebody's store that you know is doing well. You can see this person's pushing a lot of traffic to it, but you then run the exact same product for you on your store, and if for some weird reason it just bombs for you and you can't get it to work. And it comes down to this. It's because there are two parts that make up a successful marketing campaign. First of all, you need a high converting marketing funnel, but in addition to that, you need to make sure that you have an ad that targets the right audience, okay? And that's the second big key thing. So let's say, for example, let's say that you have an offer to do with hairbrushes. Okay, you've got a good ad that you've swiped, you've got a good landing page that you've swiped, and you've got a good offer that's to do with hairbrushes. Okay, and then this is the funnel that you've put together, and you've pretty much taken it from somebody that you know is pushing a lot of volume to this hairbrush offer. You've got a successful funnel. However, if you target that funnel to bold people, you are not going to make money. And the reason why is because the audience, bold people, they evidently don't have hair. And as a result, they are not going to need your specific product that you're promoting, okay? And as a result, what's going to happen is even if you try and run this campaign, yes, you might have a very, very good funnel. Yes, you might have a good ad, but if your targeting is off, you're still going to lose money. Now, there can be subtle differences in targeting that can literally be the difference between the losing campaign and a winning campaign. So you want to make sure that you test different audiences to identify the targeting options that are making you the money and the ones that are losing you the money. So for example, it might not be as evident as bold people versus people with hair. I just wanted to make sure I give you an example that you guys can remember. It might be something subtle that could be the difference in between you having a winning campaign versus a losing campaign. For example, iPhone users may convert on your offer, but Android users might not. Or women may convert on your offer, but men may not. Or 45 to 54-year-olds might convert on your offer. That age range might convert very, very well. But 25 to 34-year-olds may not. And you simply want to put more of your advertising spend into audiences that are profitable for you, and you want to be able to cut spend in places that are losing you money, okay? So the targeting options that could make or break your campaign could be specific websites, especially if you're doing run of network traffic where you're targeting multiple websites at one time. Oftentimes you might find that there's only a few websites that do the best and others might just be garbage. Placements, okay, so specific spots on that website. Sometimes above the fold might do well, sometimes below the fold might do well, sometimes mobile placements in some spots might do well, sometimes other spots might do well, but placements can be a big thing. Demographics as well, so specific age ranges, specific genders, right, specific interest groups, right, could do very, very well. Okay, so demographics is a very, very big thing, places in the world that they might live in. Keywords can be a very, very big thing, and you'll be surprised, especially if you're doing search advertising, that one keyword can be very, very profitable for you, whereas another keyword can completely bomb for you. Okay, so keywords are a big thing. Countries is another big thing. Different geographical locations could have different conversion rates. Devices, okay, so for example, tablet might convert differently to iPhone or mobile, okay, and mobile might convert differently to desktop. You might find that maybe tablet might be profitable for you, desktop might be profitable for you, but maybe mobile might not be. Okay, so devices can be a very, very big thing. Operating systems. So let's say, for example, you might have a campaign that might work well, and this happens a lot of the time when you're targeting mobile, where you might have a campaign where iPhone converts very, very well for you, but for example Android might not, or even vice versa, where Android might convert well for you on your offer but iPhone may not. Even browsers, so you might find that specific browsers, for example Internet Explorer, might not convert well for you, but Google Chrome might do very, very well. Okay, or maybe Firefox does very, very well, but for example, Opera might do very, very bad. Okay, so you want to make sure that you also test browsers and you look into your browsers. And carriers, okay, so this is the actual internet service provider on your mobile phone. And oftentimes you might find that, let's say for example, AT&T might have a different demographic, right, to people on Sprint and or T-Mobile as an example. And what you might find is that, especially depending on the carrier that you're on, is going to usually associate with different credits, right, or credit scores that somebody might have. So for example, some carriers, they provide you with mobile phone contracts if you have bad credit, whereas other carriers are a bit more strict and require to have very, very good credit for you to be able to get that carrier. So carriers, right, can be a differentiating factor between somebody's actual financial background as well. Okay, so again, carriers is a very, very big thing. Websites, placements, demographics, keywords, countries, these are all big things, okay? But one of them can be the difference in between you having a very successful campaign versus you having a very, very unsuccessful campaign. Now, as well as testing your targeting, you also want to make sure that you're always testing your funnels, okay? And the goal is to maximize your conversion rates and your EPV, the key metric that we spoke about in part 1, compared to what you pay for traffic, and make the highest return on the money that you're spending. So as an example, let's say, for example, that you have a funnel right now that you send your people to, where for every single 10 visitors, you get 3 conversions, okay? And this might not be an optimized funnel. This might be a funnel that you've actually swiped from somebody else, and for you, it's getting you 3 conversions for every single 10 visitors that you have. This might mean that you might be losing money on your advertising, right, in this example. But let's say, for example, if you could improve your conversion rate, okay, through testing, through vigorous testing, and for every single 10 people, you can now get 6 people to convert with a very, very optimized funnel, with an optimized ad, with an optimized funnel, with optimized targeting, then this literally might be the difference between you having a non-profitable campaign and you having a profitable campaign, because now your conversion rates have boosted up, your EPV's boosting up, and you're making more money from your traffic than what you're spending, okay? So again, testing is vitally important. So what would happen if you could double your conversion rates? You will literally double your revenues just by doing that. If you could double your conversion rates, no matter what conversion rate you're getting right now, if you could double it, you will literally double your revenues on the same ad spend, which is why testing is so important, because the person who tests the most literally makes the most, and you need to test elements within your funnel to create profitable campaigns, okay? As an example, I want to go through an example of an actual mail enhancement offer that I actually ran myself, and you'll be surprised at how testing, right, and how literally changing the angles, okay, which is basically changing the marketing theme that we have, can literally influence the campaigns as well, okay, and influence the performance of the campaigns. So for example, what I was actually doing with this specific offer is I was actually promoting this mail enhancement offer on adult traffic, and I was using the angle of helping somebody get bigger, okay? So I sent people to this landing page, and then after that I sent them to this specific offer that was to do with the angle of helping somebody get bigger. And it was really, really working well. It crushed it with adult traffic, and I was making a lot of money from it, okay? Now, I thought, you know what, why not just try and run this native? Because a lot of my account managers at the time was telling me that this offer works very, very well on native as well. So I took the same angle of getting bigger, helping somebody get bigger in their department. I ran it on native, and it absolutely bombed, okay? So again, the same offer and the same landing page that I was running on adult traffic, I took it to native, and it was crushing it on adult traffic, but I was bombing on native traffic, and I was wondering what on earth is going on, why? But when I was really thinking about it, I realized that there's a different demographic on native traffic on the sites that I was advertising on compared to adult traffic. Okay, so what I then did is I started to realize that a lot of old people was using these sites, and a lot of older people, they didn't really care about getting bigger. Okay, a lot of people are with their wives and they don't really care about all that kind of stuff because their wife knows what they're working with. But as an example, one big pain point was erectile dysfunction for these men. Okay, so when you get to about 50, 60 in some places, sometimes you might not be working as well as you did when you was younger. So I changed up the angle, changed up the theme, okay? And as a result, instead of talking about the pill helping somebody get bigger, I sent it to a different offer page, okay? That was to do with older people. And I made a different landing page, right? That was to do with erectile dysfunction. And as a result, it crushed it with native traffic and I started making money again, okay? So again, angles are a big thing. And different angles might work well on different traffic sources. So you have to be creative with it and you have to really, really think and test different angles, okay? Now, after you find a winning angle, what I do is I dig deep and I create a winning, high converting funnel around the angle. So I use a combination of A/B testing and multivariate testing, and all of my media buyers, they use this as well. Okay, so make sure you take note of this, okay? Now, A/B testing, for anyone that's new, is testing one variable against another variable. So for example, we might be testing one web page with a green button, and then we might test that same web page with a red button. Okay, so we're changing one variable against another variable, okay? And major businesses and media outlets, they also continually test to analyze how markets respond. So for example, you can see a GQ magazine where they have different people. On these magazines, you've got Dave Franco, Drake, and John Slattery, I think. I've never known, I don't have a clue who he is. But basically, different markets might resonate with different audiences. So for example, you might have a lot of urban people that might resonate with Drake. You might have a lot of young girls that might resonate with Dave Franco. You might have a lot of older people that might resonate with John Slattery. And then from that point, once they put a few of these magazines out there in the public, they can actually see exactly which people are resonating with what magazines and actually do a bigger run of the magazines that are getting bought the most, okay? Now, with multivariate testing, this is where you're going to be testing multiple variables against each other to find the best combination of variables, okay? So whereas A/B testing is one variable against another variable, multivariate testing is testing combinations of elements against each other to find the best combination of multiple elements, okay? So, as an example, let's say, for example, with A/B testing, we might be testing one image on the left versus another image on the right, okay? So again, this one is a man looking down, looking depressed with his wife in the background. Another one has an image of pills. You might find that the marketplace might resonate with the first one very well, but the version B might be even better. So you might have a campaign that might go from a 32% ROI to a 47% ROI, literally by just testing the image and seeing what images work well for the actual landing page, okay? Now with multivariate testing, this is where you're actually going to be testing multiple combinations of elements against each other. So for example, the first variation one, we can see that we have the headline, Viagra and Cialis in deep trouble, and we have the image of the man on the bed, okay? Now variation 2 has the exact same headline, but now a different image, okay? So again, headline 1, image 2 is on variation 2, okay? So same headline, different image. Now variation 3 has a different headline going against a different image, okay? You have suffering from erectile dysfunction. This $5 ED pill saved my 30-year marriage and now makes my husband perform like a teenager again. And variation 4, this is basically a new headline. Well, basically the headline in variation 3 against that new image. And all of these headlines and image combinations, they're going to be rotating against each other to find the best combination, right, that does the best. So for example, variation 1 might do a 32% ROI. Variation 2 might do a 36% ROI. Variation 3 might do a 47% ROI, and variation 5 might do a 53% ROI. And then from that point, we're going to send traffic, right, all of our traffic to all these variations. Once we've got some statistically significant data,